Hello everyone, my name is John with Clear Picture Legal Video, and today I'm here to talk to you about legal video cameras. Now, what constitutes a legal video camera, or a camera you can use to shoot legal video? First off, before we go into the specifics of what you might need and what you might not, first let's talk about the three main video cameras that are out there. And we'll start off with the highest end, which is an industrial grade camera. Now, industrial grade cameras are typically used by network TV and also for professional movie video. And they have all the bells and whistles that you'll never need and that you'll probably never understand how to use all of them. They're extremely high priced and they're extremely big too. So those are some of the reasons why most people in the industry haven't used those. Then there's a less expensive version of those, and that's a professional grade camera. Professional cameras are the most standard used in the legal video field. And these cameras give you almost all the same functions of an industrial camera, but in a much smaller size. So they have the ability to give you manual controls over stuff like white balance, iris control, focus, zoom, gain, and timestamp. Those things might not make a lot of sense right now, but when you get into a deposition environment, having manual controls for those things makes all the difference. Lastly, consumer cameras. Now, these are used by the everyday person. The idea behind consumer grade cameras is to take the manual controls out of the everyday person so they don't have to worry and they can just point and shoot. Now, these cameras are great if you're going to film your kid's soccer game, if you're going to videotape a fun trip you're on, and also maybe like a family reunion. Stuff where you can just hit the record button and you want the camera to do all the thinking for you. Now, the quality of that video is usually pretty good. In fact, to the average untrained eye, if they were looking at the video from a consumer grade camera to a professional grade camera, they might not realize the difference when you, let's say, put it on YouTube or just maybe make a DVD or a Blu-ray to show a friend. But they don't have the ability to give you manual functions for legal video. And that's really important when you're in a room and the witness is doing this, which happens a lot. And if they're rocking back and forth, the automated controls on the camera can do a lot of funky stuff. So if it's focusing on me, maybe it might focus on the wall, might focus on my shirt and not my face. It also might change the iris controls, and so a room that is nice and bright and you have good light, as I move back and forth, it could change and darken the room or lighten the room. Stuff that takes away from the actual deposition of the witness and could lead people to be distracted instead of looking at the content of what the video is. So manual controls are extremely important. And since consumer cameras don't give you the option to do that, I always tend to tell people to stay away from those. And I was told to stay away from those. Now that we've discussed the three main types of cameras, let's go into what you should look for before you buy a camera. Now, first, if you haven't noticed, I'm very partial to professional grade cameras. And those are the ones I ended up looking at when I researched buying a video camera for my own use. And it's something that I tell people to do when they're looking for a video camera for their professional use as well. I went through a laundry list of things before I bought my camera, and one of them was reviews online. So you can learn a lot about the camera's basic overall stats by looking at people's reviews and what they've used it for. So you need to go ahead and find the time to go into a lot of different sites. Don't just pick one, and get the research on it. One of the ones that I found out that was extremely helpful was a video company's website that also does a lot of other tech stuff, and it's called B&H, and they're located out of New York. And they have a lot of information on each of the cameras that they sell, mixers, the whole deal. It doesn't mean you're going to have to buy from them, but if you're looking for some good reviews, I found that people give really detailed information on that site, and I'll have that listed below. Let's see. Also, you want to look at the functions. So whenever I found a camera that piqued my interest, I went ahead and I immediately found the camera's website where they actually developed the camera and did all that, and I printed out the manuals for it. Now, that could seem like overkill, but remember, this camera is going to be your main tool. This is the main piece of equipment that you're going to use. So my manual was over 200 pages for the camera that I have right now, and I read it cover to cover. It may seem like overkill, like I said, but if you're looking to get a good quality camera, you're going to have to do a lot of research to make sure it has the functions that you need. Does it have all the functions that you think you need to get your job done? For me, one of the biggest functions was having a timestamp and the ability to have the manual controls over everything I listed before. So there's nothing worse than buying a camera and then figuring out later that it won't do all the things that you want it to do. Recording formats. What can it record into? Is it recording directly to a VHS tape? If so, it's probably a dinosaur. Is it recording directly to a DVD? Again, it's getting more away from that in this field, but people still record directly to DVDs. Does it record it into a digital chip? And if it does it record into 2 digital chips? The camera I have right now will do dual layer recordings. Is it standard definition only? Is it high definition and standard definition? Or the one I have right now, it has the functionality of being a 4K camera. It can also record in high definition and also standard definition. So when I looked at cameras, that's how I figured out the camera style I wanted, which goes into the next topic of longevity. Will this camera be useful for years to come? So as I talked about recording formats, you need to understand that people are slowly getting out of the standard definition video. Even though most people still do standard definition videotaping, the tendency now is for people to start recording in high definition and then compressing it down into standard definition. So as that trend goes on, you'll see that the standard definition cameras are probably going to be a way of the past in the next couple of years. I can't say that for certain. Right now it's 2016. I can't tell you what's going to happen in 2020. The camera I have right now might be outdated then. I just don't know. So you need to realize that as times change, your equipment has to change with it. And if you're going to buy something, you want to make sure it's going to last you a long time. Size. Hate to say it, but size matters. For me, being a legal videographer in San Francisco and doing a lot of walking after I'm taking public transit into San Francisco, having a camera that's very small gives me the ability to carry it with me. And I don't have to worry about having it in a car. I can go ahead and take it on public transportation, no problems. So that was something I looked at. If you're not worried about that, well, maybe you're okay with a bigger camera that maybe has some more added on functions to it. So the camera I have doesn't have a lens that can be removed, and it's very much compact. Some of the attachments that I can put on it are screw-on and clip-on. Maybe you want all the stuff to be directly on there and always connected to it. Well, if that's the case, you'll go for a larger camera. What I have suits me. So what are your needs? If you're driving around and parking in people's offices and then just carrying it from the parking lot into their business, it might not be a big deal. But I'm walking sometimes about a half mile to a mile to a job location, and size and weight are a big factor for me. So that's what I looked at. It depends on what's important for you. Durability. This is really important with the camera. You're going to be taking it in and out of bags. It's going to get knocked around. It's going to get beaten up. And you want a camera that can last. So when you're looking at the reviews, take time to focus on durability. On that note, you also should probably buy insurance on your camera. They have insurance policies for the cameras if anything happens to them. Since your camera is your livelihood, you're going to want to make sure you have that plan so that if your camera goes bad, you can send it back to the manufacturer, you get a replacement during the interim time, and you can still work. The other side piece that you could do is maybe buy a older standard definition camera or something that's used to have as a backup. And that's not a bad idea either, but find a durable camera. Don't get cheap. Which leads me into the last piece, price. I say price last because a good camera will last you many, many years, and it's worth the extra money. This doesn't mean you have to break the bank, but if you go cheap, you're probably going to regret that decision later on. So remember that this is an investment. Your camera is the main tool that you use for this job. So don't just look at getting a great bargain. Look at getting something that you'll be happy with for years to come. If you're looking to find a good starting point for cameras, the CLVS board, the Certified Legal Video Specialist board, has a website with a link of cameras that they deem to be acceptable. What I mean by being acceptable is that they have all the standard functions I was talking to you about. Now that list gets updated periodically throughout the year, so you'll see cameras being put on the list and cameras being taken off of it. And if you're trying to narrow down your search, it's a good way. It's what I use to help decide which cameras were right for me. Now, I'd like to go into all the specifics, but I don't want the video to go on too long. So I'll save those parts for other videos later on. But I think that wraps up the video for now. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. Tell us what you want in future videos. Send us comments and feedback. But other than that, I'm John with Clear Picture Legal Video, and we're going off the record. If you're looking for a good starting point, don't start with me. blah, 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 blah. Also puts a, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Computer, why aren't you working? Dilly dally silly Sally, dilly dally silly Sally, dilly dally silly Sally. Function, no. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Durability. You want to make sure that the camera you have is durable. That's self-explanatory.